This presentation is titled Corruption Reform, otherwise known as Reforming the Corrupt Criminal Justice System. First, I'd like to begin with an overview of corruption in the criminal justice system. Corruption is caused by greed and abuse of power. Those in positions of power are likely to receive temptation, although some are more prone to giving in than others. Underprivileged women and children are the prime targets of corruption. Acting as a cycle, once many enter the system, few make it out unscathed. Many victims of this system are mentally and physically scarred for the remainder of their lives. Money is the main driving force behind corruption in the judiciary. Large donors tend to be the deciding factors in who is publicized and glorified more during the campaigning process. Judges and juries are bribed, and money ends up swaying the decisions in courtrooms. Wealthier individuals who end up imprisoned tend to have a more leisurely stay than those who are less fortunate. And according to the National Institute of Justice, out of 57,000 corrupt cases reviewed over the past 30 years, 76% of those corrupt cases were found to be linked to fraud and bribery. Next, I'd like to present some solutions that were attempted to resolve this issue already. Singapore introduced a set of 10 commandments to depict their approach on judicial integrity. One of the commandments included reads such as transparency in the selection of judges based on merit, competency, and experience. The second attempt at resolving the issue is Article 11 from the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Article 11 emphasizes the crucial role of the judiciary in combating corruption and recognizes that in order to play this role effectively, the judiciary itself must be free of corruption and its members must act with integrity. Now, the solution I'd like to propose requires two steps. First, to place a limit on the campaign spending done by the candidates. Limiting the money coming in and out of the electoral process will help keep the election objective. Second, to require every media outlet, when displaying candidates, to provide the candidate's stance on major topics of public policy. With the average voter not doing countless hours of research and getting the majority of their information from the media, this solution presents readily accessible information that will be important when determining the eligibility of the candidate. Now, breaking down these steps results in the following. We must begin at the local level. Start by gathering enough public support and backing from reform organizations to present this argument, and pass a city ordinance placing a fair limit on the campaign spending and requiring all local media outlets to provide the necessary information. Allowing this process to continue for 2 years at the local level, witnessing development and marking down the pros and cons of the outcome, marking statistics of local opinion of the judiciary system, marking incarceration rates, rates of corruption, as well as crime rates. If the pros heavily outweigh the cons and public support has steadily grown, present this newfound information to the federal level of the judiciary. Now, discussing the feasibility of this idea, this solution requires the backing of at least one large reform organization such as Penal Reform International, plenty of public support, and a strong enough argument and backing to reach the municipal government. With at least 2 years to witness the change brought on by this solution, reform is not a suggestion, it is a necessity. Public opinion on the judicial system has taken a major nosedive in recent years. Many find themselves unable to trust a very obviously corrupt system. And with how heavy a hold the media has on its public sway, riots and political uprising could occur if changes are not made. These are my references. Just scroll out a little bit to get that bottom one. Alright, thank you for listening. That is all.